You're listening to the Custom Built Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to talk about decision fatigue and what to do when you're planning for your home renovation. So, stay tuned. Decision fatigue is a real thing. And when we're talking about adding even more decisions on top of your daily decisions that you need to make every single day to get through your day, it is exhausting, for a lack of better words today. I mean, if you're a parent and you have other people that you have to take care of, just the decisions alone in how you're managing your day. What time am I waking up? Am I doing breakfast before or after I bring the kids to school? Did I help them get ready for school? Like, those are responsibilities, but also what are we having for dinner? What am I going to feed them later? Are they going to want 800 snacks when they get home? What am I going to do for them? And then we have our jobs, and who do we need to take care of there? And then we have our families besides our kids, right? Like extended families, parents, siblings. Like, there's so much that we have to consider throughout our day as individuals. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit more to our day and start thinking about this home renovation that we're going to get into, and having to start deciding what paint color I want in my bedroom and the trim color for my trim in that bedroom. And then, do I want my closet to match my bedroom walls? Do I want every room in my house to be a different color? Do I want all my trim to be white? Do I want some of it to be stained? Do I want to color drench? What about wallpaper? What about light switches? What about the fixtures I'm putting in my bathroom, my light fixtures, my plumbing fixtures? What about the floors? Am I doing hardwood floors? Am I doing engineered? What about LVP? I mean, hello. Those are just some really one-off things that you need to think about. Let's not even consider, well, no, we want to consider, but that's not even taken into consideration the things you need to think of ahead of time when you're in that pre-construction stage, right? I know this is my wheelhouse, is that pre-construction space, but there's so much to even consider that you might not think about until later on, like under cabinet lighting, or maybe you want lighting in your shower niche, or things that will affect your build if you don't make these decisions sooner. So for any kind of lighting that needs extra wiring, you're going to want to do that before the sheetrock goes up. That includes something simple like in the shower niche lighting or under cabinet lighting sometimes. I mean, yeah, you can do strip lights, and you can get some workarounds if you don't want to, if you didn't think about it, right? I'm not going to tell you there's impossible ways to do this. Of course, there's ways, but if you want to have these things, it's so much more beneficial for you in the long run to have these thoughts ahead of time and to make these plans ahead of time. And how do we make these decisions without burning out completely before the project even starts, before that energy is spent on, is everything going according to plan? Is the budget on track? All of that, right? That's a whole nother ball game when we're actually in the middle of the renovation. I know I've told you about this before, but renovations in your homes, and it might not seem this way by me saying this, and maybe you don't always, it's hard to understand it if you're not in it, but it is a very emotional, it's an emotional thing. And it doesn't seem like it because it's no big deal. I'm just getting my house updated, which I'm excited about. Of course, yeah, you are excited about it. Who wouldn't be excited to have something fresh and new and exactly the way you want it? But we don't take into consideration how much disruption comes from a home renovation, and what does that look like during that time frame, and the noises, the dust, the inconvenience of not having your space the way you're used to having that space, and then the mental load around that. You had a rough day and you're coming home to a house full of mess, and if you're renovating your kitchen's unavailable, but you want to be home because it's your happy space. It is an emotional roller coaster when you're coming through a home renovation. So the pre-construction site or the pre-construction planning, again, is like one of the most critical things that you can be doing when it comes to your home renovation. And it's to help minimize these stressors in your renovation. Am I telling you by doing this pre-construction, you will not feel disrupted in your house? No, that's going to happen. There will be stressors when it comes to your home renovation if you're living in your house during the renovation, and the disruptions there, of course. But when we can minimize any stress ahead of time before construction, it just will always help in the long run for running that project smoothly. But we're not here to talk about why pre-construction planning is the most important. We're talking about decisions and decision fatigue and all the things you need to decide in those early stages of your home renovation, and why you're not alone when it comes to making all these decisions. We are constantly bombarded with information all day long, and we're constantly making choices. Are we going left or are we going right? Do I want coffee? Do I want tea? Do I even want coffee today, or do I want water? I mean, literally, if you think about every moment of your day, how many decisions are you making within an hour, within a few minutes? And we're kind of built to be making these decisions, right? But when it comes to adding on these big higher ticket items, right, we put a lot of weight to them. So when we're making these decisions about what fixtures are going into our house, what tile, what flooring, those are big ticket items that can be really stressful and feel like there is a lot of high stakes going into making a choice for that. Now, ultimately, the goal would be to take any pressure off you as much as possible. Now, you as a homeowner will always have that responsibility to make those decisions and to make them in a timely-ish manner. So anything that you can do ahead of time when it comes to your construction and making those decisions will make construction move faster. But, a conversation I had recently, actually today, and then even a few days ago, it's a theme that kind of keeps coming up. So if you don't notice, I like to kind of base my podcast episodes off of that, but it's fresh in my mind and I think they're helpful. So I'm bringing them to you, and I think there's something that's important and thoughtful for you as a homeowner to consider when coming into a home renovation. But it is the responsibility of a homeowner and the expectations that need to be set for homeowners in general when it comes to home renovations. So you may have an idea in your head and say, I want to update my house and I'm ready to go. And that's great. We want to take you there. We want to go with you. And we have a lot of pre-construction things that need to happen, like designing and then the decision making. And so this is where it feels daunting, it feels exhausting, and it's time consuming. And if you're somebody that has a hard time making decisions, if you're a little bit more indecisive, then this could be a longer drawn out part of your home renovation process. Now, I'm pretty indecisive when it comes to my own house, and typically I'm a very decisive person in general. But when it comes to making decisions on what I'm going to do in my own home, I have a harder time with it. I really do. And I think for me, it's just because I'm not really sure what my plans are here in this house. Am I going to stay here? Ultimately, no. This doesn't feel like my forever. This does not feel like my forever home, but I do want to update it. So how much or how little of updating do I want to do? And maybe you're in the same boat. Maybe this isn't your forever home, but you want to update it, but like spending a ton of money on it doesn't feel great. Or maybe some things just aren't as important to you. And I would start there. These are the things that I would start with when you're getting ready to make these decisions. It's always going to come down to like self-reflection and what's actually important to you. So what is your priority when it comes to home renovation, renovating your home specifically? So is it important for you to have an updated space and have like builder grade materials is fine with you? Or do you want a little bit more higher end? Do you want to have a little bit higher quality in the products that you're putting in your home? your floors? Are they something that you're really hard on, or are they something that, you don't spend a ton of time in your space? Maybe you travel a lot, so having floors that that don't need that you don't have to worry about a ton of wear and tear. You might want to go with something that needs a little higher maintenance because you're not putting on a ton of tread on it. Where in my house, I have a dog, I have kids, we're a mess. We live by the beach, like it's sandy. Like our floors are going to have to be really hardy floors unless I'm going to want to refinish these floors over and over again for years to come. Okay, so take these kinds of things into consideration. Really reflect on you, on how your family moves and grooves in your home, and be realistic. It's okay if, if you're a little harder on your floors than normal, if like your dog is sick and it, urinates in the house more than the average and you're worried about hardwood floors getting ruined, it's okay to go to an LVP or something that's a little bit more, or tile, like something that's a little bit more water resistant. All right, nothing's going to be waterproof. I'm not going to tell you your floors are waterproof, even if they say they're waterproof. Water resistant is a safer way to say this. There's always seams, though. If you're putting floors together and there's seams, you're getting moisture in there. But for, an LVP, you can get like higher end LVPs. Those are great options for like any kind of moisture. Tiles, obviously the best for that. But maybe you don't love the tile look. Maybe you don't want to have all those grout lines. Like there's tons of things you need to consider, but really getting honest and thinking about how you move, what your family life looks like, who's spending time in your home. I mean, if you entertain a ton, you want to consider like your floors, and are you letting people wear their shoes in your house? Like there's so much to consider, and I'm not trying to give you more decision fatigue before we even get started or overwhelm you. But I am going to invite you to be more reflective in that. And I think when you really get honed in and be realistic in that, it will make your decisions that much easier. I'm really hard on my floors. What are the best options for that? Countertops. We're really messy. I got little kids who love to bake and help me cook. And, little kids are prone to messing, making spills and stuff. So you don't want porous countertops. Even if it's a short-term, like part of a certain, kids don't stay little forever. And obviously they're going to get older. But think about even like teenage years and like their young adulthood. They got their friends over. There's so much that could be happening. So it's just things to like think about and plan for. This doesn't mean to like sit around and worry if you pick the wrong finish, the wrong product. It's a way to start dwindling down your options. So when you go and start looking for flooring or go and start looking for stones for your countertops, you are already narrowed down into what kind of products you're looking for. That doesn't mean you need to know if it's quartz or marble or glass or whatever, or wood. Like you can just say, I need something that's not porous. I need something that's going to sustain hard living, right? We're rough on our floors. What's the best products out there that can really resist any kind of hard wear and tear? So considering that. Also, another thing to consider that might not be on the forefront of your mind is health factors. Like, do you want sustainability? Do you want to know where your products are coming from and sourcing them in ways that feel good to you and your values? Do you want recyclable materials? Do you want like cork or bamboo? Like those really hot little green items that are, really sustainable and they're able to grow fast in normal environments. And then even thinking about how you're sourcing your materials, if like you're ordering something from the opposite coast and it's got to travel from that coast to you, are you considering your green footprint there? Are you considering health factors as in like the paints that you're using and your Wi-Fi and how that might be affecting your health? I'm not an expert there, but it's kind of intriguing to me, and how it affects us, with all our technology now, and like how it affects our bodies, like microwaves and like the wave lengths that come out from them. Again, not an expert. It's also late for me. I'm normally in bed. So please forgive me if I'm even extra bad on my wording and extra bad with my words tonight. So how do we dim decision fatigue? And that would, again, start with really honing in and getting reflective of the things that are important to you and important to your family, and really being realistic and thoughtful about how you're moving. Think about the quality of materials that's important to you. You obviously want to consider your budget when you're thinking about these things, because you don't want to be like, I want the best of everything, but my budget is really restraining. Okay, there's going to be only so much that you can do within that budget for certain items. And that doesn't mean you can't ever do it. I hate the idea of like money being a problem, like money being a reason you can't do something. But if your budget is a concern and you have higher desires to make sure that you're getting higher quality for what you need in your home, then you want to be strategic about what the project looks like and how that budget is going to be spread. So, things that you can probably be careful on and work a little around are tile. I mean, tile material can be from like $2 a square foot to like thousands of dollars a square foot. Okay. But if you're putting tile in certain areas, you might be able to go with a similar look, but like a porcelain tile instead of like a handcrafted tile. So if you can pick a tile that can give you the same feel, but maybe be a lower cost, that's another option. Tile's just an easy target for me to grab right now, and I'm sure there's tons of other options out there that you can do that with. But when you're talking about decision fatigue, you want to try to minimize being overwhelmed and just burnt out before you even get started in your home renovation. So there might be a great way to consider this is almost, so if you're not only reflecting, right, I'm going to kind of retract a little bit. So reflect on everything that is important to you, your values, how you move in your house, really get quiet and think about those things. And then another thing you can do to help avoid decision fatigue is kind of work backwards from your plan, right? So you have the vision, or you know what you want. I know we all think a little different. When I envision things, I can literally see it in my mind's eye, and I can picture it and know like it's going to be great. I also understand that that is not the same for everybody. So if you can maybe make a list, if that makes more sense for you, like list out what you want, what is important to you, or like how you would like it to look, or maybe you can write it out in like a feelings. I want to feel this way in my house. I want to feel like the lighting can be lower, the lighting can be brighter. I want to have all these, like having like just like those little details and understanding of what you're looking for in your home is already letting me know as your home builder that you want some ambient lighting around. You want maybe an overhead light, you want some dimmers, you want maybe some under cabinet lighting. Like there's so many things that you can do in that to make your room feel cozy and warm, and also make you feel like you don't have to have your overhead blasting all the time, and have just enough lighting to get through on an evening when you're trying to relax, okay? And maybe you want pocket doors, right? But you don't think about pocket doors until later on. Now, your architect should help you with that. Your designer should also help you with that when you're in that design phase and you can see like how the door swings are going to be. But you might want to maximize your space as much as you can. And maybe a pocket door is something that is going to give you more aerial space on the floor. And we want to do that early on, right? So have that decision early on. That might be an easy one. That might be a no-brainer for people, but you just don't know, right? It's something that's, things that I think about often. So I'm not sure always if it's known because I'm in it, or if it's something that people just aren't aware of because they've never experienced the building side of things before when it comes to home building. Another thing I can advise for decision fatigue is to chunk it down. Don't try to make all the decisions at once. Try to break it down, maybe room by room, maybe add do a couple that are like really easy choices for you, and then like also sprinkle in some that are really difficult for you to make. Don't do all the easy ones first thinking you get it all off your plate and you feel really good, because what's going to happen is you're like hitting this high, you're like, I got it, and then you hit this hard one and then you start to dive and you're like and you're unmotivated anymore to do any more decision making, and then there's procrastination. So I would suggest even starting with a couple of the hard ones first, with the sprinkled in easy decisions. So that way it's just this nice little balance of I have a win and I have a challenge. There's a win and a challenge. And there's a big win because I got these challenges made. And then we're going to keep on making a ladder. But you're going to chunk it down, because when we look at it all at once, it can be very overwhelming, and then we like paralyze, right? So we don't want any kind of decision paralysis when it comes to you making these decisions. We want to avoid that. We want to avoid as much as we can decision fatigue. And when you're getting burnt out, because we are human, and some days are going to be better than others, and some days we're going to just be like, I can't make any decisions today, then don't do it today. Take a break, take a couple of days, take the weekend, get out in nature, and just reconnect with yourself. I know that might sound difficult to do, especially if you're not used to just taking a break and going for a walk and doing something that you enjoy. Me personally, I didn't have hobbies for a really big chunk of my life. I went to work, I came home, I kind of lounged around, and that was it. Sometimes I'd read books, sometimes I'd play some games, but I mean, the person I was then to the person I am now are very different people. And if you're somebody who is similar to who I was before, it's hard to think about hobbies, and it's hard to think about doing anything for ourselves when we're really caught up in like our life and our work. And when I say life, I mean doing for others. So when we have to care for our kids and our spouse and everything else in the household, and then you have to worry about going to work. I mean, it's very overwhelming. It's very daunting to even think about the consideration of taking 30 minutes and taking a walk outside. I know, but try it and see if it gives you any clarity. And maybe the first day, if this is something you haven't done in a long time, you do it the first day and you're anxious the whole time because you're like thinking about all the things you still need to do and that you haven't done, like all the decisions you need to make for this home renovation, then try it again the next day or maybe in a couple of days. But give yourself some time to really get quiet and give yourself space and not try to power through your decisions, okay? There's nothing to gain by powering through anything, really. I truly believe that. I mean, maybe in small little chunks, it's beneficial to like power through. Like if you're working out or you're doing something you just really hate, and you're like, this is something I do. This is how I power through things. I do them in small little chunks. I used to take Krav Maga, and we'd have to sit and squat up against the wall. So like just you're sitting, and you're punching a bag for a minute straight, and your quads start burning about halfway through. You're breathing heavy because you're punching, and then it's getting harder and harder. But I would tell myself, I can do anything for a minute. I can do anything for a minute. And that's how I power through. So if you want to power through anything, give it a small time frame, but don't force yourself to power through all your decisions at once. If you want to say, I'm giving myself 30 minutes and I'm going to power through some decision making tonight and tonight only, then yeah, okay, power through it that way. But power throughing anything when you're exhausted, when you're burnt out, when you are already having decision fatigue, or you're, it's just not going to be beneficial. And I truly believe that even when it comes to like doing your work or, doing anything with the kids or anything, powering through something when you're just not there for it is not going to be your best work. It's not. You might have regrets later, is basically the end result, right? All right. So when we are trying to avoid decision fatigue, these are the steps that we want to take. 1, we want to reflect and get really quiet with ourselves to understand how we move, how we feel realistically. How does our family and how do people interact in my home? Are we hard on our surfaces? Are we gentle? This is going to make your decision narrow down into what type of products you're going to need in your home based off of the way you move and function. You want to, 2, you're going to want to work backwards from your vision. And if you're not a visual person who has that type of foresight in your mind, you might be somebody that's maybe a little bit more analytical and have a list, or maybe you're somebody that feels it first and knows what the end result wants to feel like. Just however it makes sense for you, start there at the end line, the finish line of what that finished product looks like, and start making your way backwards and making decisions on how you want. This could even be like your acoustics, right? If you are somebody who wants like softer surfaces to keep sounds down, that's kind of more in the finish, but just having that kind of consideration when you're thinking backwards will be loads more important than to talk about this at the end. And then finally, instead of powering through and making decisions quickly to try to avoid getting decision fatigue and just trying to get on with the job, take breaks, go outside in nature, and just reconnect again with yourself and give yourself space to do something that's fun. Do a hobby, do a puzzle, color, draw, write, whatever feels good to you. Get out, move your body, and get out of the mind, really, and the decision making, and loosen up a little bit. And I don't mean that like just loosen up a bit. I mean really just let your body kind of unwind and get relaxed, and don't power through decision making. And if you feel like you're a person that needs to be told to power through, then give yourself shorter breaks to do, like shorter time frames to do that. Give yourself 15 minutes, give yourself 30 minutes, but I wouldn't go much higher than that. If you're spending like an hour or 2 researching and spending a ton of time on that, that's, sure, research, but if your power through is to sit there and do a bunch of research, I really suggest giving yourself like 30 minutes if you're going to power through anything, okay? But most importantly, reconnect with your body and get some of that energy moving and get it out, and come back to making decisions when you feel like it's not a very daunting task for you. And that's going to help you avoid decision fatigue. And when you're starting to feel like you're going down that route, just stop for a minute, okay? You'll get there faster by giving yourself breaks rather than that power through and trying to get it done so you can get the job moving, okay? You don't want any regrets because you're just like, let's just get this over with. All right. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was insightful. And if you found this to be beneficial, or you know somebody that could really use this advice, please make sure you share this episode with them. Leave a review and let me know what you think. You can even send me a message. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have a little chat with you about your decision making and how decision fatigue maybe has affected you. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your day. And I will catch you next time. Thank you for hanging out today. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you hit subscribe. And I hope to see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.